There's a version of you that most people never see. Not the version that shows up to work, handles the small talk, keeps it together. A deeper version, one that only surfaces when life stops being comfortable.
Most of us spend years building a self-image. We decide who we are based on what we do when things are easy. But pressure doesn't reveal character the way we think it does. It reveals something older, something that was shaped long before you had any say in the matter.
Scientists who study human behavior under extreme stress have found something that consistently surprises them. People don't just react differently under pressure, they become different. And that difference follows patterns that go back thousands of years.
The ancient Greeks had a word for it. They believed that crisis wasn't destruction, it was disclosure. A crisis, to them, was the moment when the mask finally came off and what was underneath became visible, not just to others, to yourself. Think about the last time something genuinely hard happened to you. Not inconvenient, actually hard. Somewhere in that experience, you probably met a part of yourself you didn't expect. Maybe you were braver than you thought. Maybe you were more fragile. Maybe you discovered you cared about things you didn't realize mattered that much. That reaction wasn't random. It was the result of everything that built you. Your childhood, your nervous system, the stories your family passed down without even knowing they were doing it. Hard times don't create who you are. They uncover who you already were.
Psychologists call it stress inoculation. The idea is that small doses of hardship, experienced and survived, gradually build a kind of psychological resilience that can't be taught in a calm environment. You can read about courage, you can practice it in safe spaces, but the real version only gets forged in the fire.
Research done on communities recovering from natural disasters showed something remarkable. People who had experienced previous hardship adapted faster. They organized more quickly. They showed more creativity in solving problems. They weren't numb to the pain. They were just less afraid of it, because they already knew they could survive something hard.
This is one of the oldest lessons in human history, and almost every culture on Earth arrived at it independently. Indigenous cultures around the world developed rites of passage that deliberately placed young people in difficult situations. Not to be cruel, but because the elders understood something that modern life tends to forget. A person who has never faced hardship doesn't fully know themselves yet.
There's a reason these traditions existed on every continent, separated by oceans, with no contact between them. They were all responding to the same truth about human nature. We are not fully formed at birth. We are finished by experience.
Neuroscience has started to catch up with what ancient wisdom already knew. When the brain experiences genuine adversity and moves through it, it rewires. Neural pathways that govern resilience, problem-solving, and emotional regulation actually strengthen. The brain physically changes, not despite the difficulty, but because of it. What's even more fascinating is that this process doesn't just happen to individuals, it moves through generations. Researchers studying epigenetics have found that the effects of stress and hardship can alter how genes are expressed, and those changes can be passed down to children and grandchildren. Your ancestors' struggles may have literally shaped your biology. This means the resilience you feel in a hard moment isn't entirely yours. It was partly built by people who came before you, who survived things you may never fully know about. There's something quietly powerful in that idea. You are not starting from zero. You never were.
But here's where it gets more complicated. Not all responses to hardship are healthy. Not all patterns passed down through family lines are ones worth keeping. Some people emerge from difficulty with more compassion, more clarity, more depth. Others emerge harder, more closed, more defended. The difference often comes down to one thing: whether the hardship was faced or buried.
Psychologists who work with trauma have consistently found that the stories we tell about our hard experiences matter enormously. Two people can go through nearly identical events and come out completely different, based not on what happened, but on the meaning they attach to it. Meaning isn't given, it's constructed, and that construction is one of the most powerful things a human being ever does. Viktor Frankl, who survived the worst conditions imaginable, spent the rest of his life writing and speaking about one central observation. The last of human freedoms is the ability to choose how you respond to what happens to you. That freedom cannot be taken, only abandoned. There is a kind of person that hard times tend to produce when everything goes right, meaning when the person faces the difficulty honestly, processes it fully, and keeps moving forward. Researchers have a name for it: post-traumatic growth. It is the documented phenomenon where people who survive genuine hardship often report becoming more grateful, more purposeful, more emotionally connected to others than they were before. It sounds almost too convenient, but the data is consistent. People who go through loss, illness, failure, or crisis and come out the other side often describe the experience not as something that broke them, but as the thing that finally made them real. Not because suffering is good, but because moving through it honestly changes something at the core. What all of this tells us is something that the comfortable, distraction-filled pace of modern life tends to obscure. You are not fully knowable to yourself in easy conditions. Ease is wonderful, but it is not a mirror. It shows you the surface. Hardship shows you the foundation. The people who know themselves most deeply are almost never the ones who had the smoothest lives. They're the ones who were tested, who lost things, who faced uncertainty with no guarantee of how it would end, and who paid attention to what they discovered about themselves in those moments. That self-knowledge, earned through difficulty rather than inherited through comfort, is one of the rarest and most valuable things a human being can possess. It can't be bought, it can't be rushed, and it doesn't come from reading about it. It comes from living through something hard, looking clearly at who you became in that moment, and deciding with full awareness who you want to be next.